All right, I'm going to go over everything that I use, all my gear I use to transport all my gear as a gigging drummer from location to location. Make sure everything's transports nicely to and from, and take care of my gear. So let's start over here looking at my 6-piece shell kit. Each drum is put in a protective soft case. These cases are really nice. These are made by Gator, a line they call protector cases. They're probably about a ½ inch thick of padding. Got little sewn in straps, so they're very easy to transport and carry around. I carry 3-4 of these at a time easily. Padding's really nice. The zipper construction is really nice. They work really well. Keep your shells in good condition. Next to the shells on the floor is this case. This is my double bass pedal case. I use a DW 9000 series double bass pedal. It's a hard case. Next to that is my own mixer that I use for the 9 mics I use in my kit. Then I have, next to that is my blower fan I use that also doubles as a extension cord and has 2 outlets on it that I can use to plug in whatever I want, which I end up plugging my personal in-ear monitor amp and my mixer there. Next to this is my mic case, which I put all my 9 mics in. Then here's my rack. Use the DW 9000 series rack and the side rack attachment as well. Next to that, I have my SKB Cymbal Vault that carries all my cymbals in it. And I just have a black backpack next to that. I keep all my personal stuff in. And then I have a large SKB Drum Hardware Transport Case, which is fantastic, very nice, very well built, and keeps everything else, all my hardware that I need. And then below this is a carpet that is obviously very necessary. If you can see all the markings on the floor, we'll get into those more, but those help me set up quickly. So cracking open the case, it's very sturdy build, very thick polymer case. It's got a big strong handle here on this side. It's got 2 big caster wheels, so it's easy to reel around. This thing is fully loaded, easy to move around. Inside, there's lots of room. I've got the top of my drum throne, the seat. I've got my bag where I put all my cables and my snake and extension cord, other stuff that I need for mic in my kit. So I put all that in this bag. Underneath this bag, I've got all the hardware. So as you can see, it fits my full-size hi-hat stand, all my other stands and accessories, throne, snare, all that stuff. We'll go through all this. I also have my stick bag thrown in here with my little emergency kit built into it. This is a little hard case. I keep all my in-ear monitor stuff, which is to me the best option. I've got I use Shure SE 215 in-ear monitors, and then I use this Rolls personal monitor amp, which works really well to take replace basically the standard wedge monitor on the floor with very high quality in-ear monitor mix that I can control the volume of myself. So works really well. Been using that for a while. That's my preference. Also keeps down the stage sound as well, with one less wedge monitor. So I'm able to use this. Definitely recommend doing in-ear monitors. Let's go ahead and jump into the stick bag here. Since I got it out, let's open it up. I'll open up the emergency drummer survival kit, if you will. Got all kinds of different stuff in here. I've got some drum keys. I got a little bag with drum key and some Allen wrenches, some screws and nuts and lock washers and little memory clamp and stuff. I've got an extra hi-hat clutch in case, you know, one breaks or whatever. Got a drum key, got a 6mm ratcheting wrench, which works really good for tuning drums or using anything that you would use a drum key for in tight spaces. Works really well. 6mm. I've got the drill version of the drum key, which I only use for loosening up drums to replace heads really fast. I never use it for tightening. Then I got some screwdrivers, you know, flathead here, and a Phillips head. And then I've got some thread lock, which is good for just making screws stay in, hold them in a little tighter. There's also the more commercial brand is thread lock. Both work fine. Can never have too many drum keys. I usually keep one on the left side of my kit, one on the right side of my kit. And then also got an extra set of headphones there. So for what I play sticks wise, I'm a big fan of Vic Firth's. Always been a fan of the American Classic 5As, wooden tips. They're never steered me wrong. I grew up playing jazz and funk and blues and rock, and really like the wooden tip. I do have some nylon tip as well. And then I also have a set of hot rods that I always bring, which are essential if you want to bring down the acoustic sound of your kit. You got to have a set of hot rods. Those work really well. So let's go ahead and close this up, throw everything back inside really quick. It is important to have some extra stuff. It's always better to travel with a little bit more than not have anything at all. Countless times my guitarist has asked me to borrow a screwdriver to help adjust her strap or something like that. So good to have. So back to the kit. That's the base of my throne. I've got my snare stand. Let's see what else. I've got my 3 bass legs or feet of my DW 9000 series rack system. Then I've got my hi-hat stand. Fits in there perfectly. I do have the shorter rod on it since I like to play with my hi-hat slower. I don't have a real tall one on there. I also have an accessory clamp on this for my tambourine that I use to play for some songs. Also adds a nice little jingle when I'm smacking the hat pedal with my left foot. Get to hear a little extra jingle. So this is my LP clamp that I use to undermount my condenser mic on my hi-hat stand. It picks up the hi-hats and the tambourine. Then I've got my 6 floor tom legs, 3 each. I've got them all labeled and marked, one with a stick holder there. Then I've got 2 full-size boom stands for my overhead condenser microphones. Those pretty standard. And last but not least, I've got my little kick drum mic stand. So all of that fits quite nicely into this large case of mine made by SKB. They do make a smaller version of it. They both have these heavy duty handles on both sides, 2 on each side, big caster wheels on the bottom, and then a handle on this side here. I already showed you the big handle on the other side. So yeah, very good case, and it's good to have stuff that keeps your stuff dry if it's raining out, and keep your stuff safe from, especially if it gets tossed in with some other stuff in the back of a trailer like mine does sometimes, or whatever. It's good to have a big container, especially if you got to tear down quickly or whatever. Just essentially just throw everything right into this and throw the lid on and get going. All right, so get the case out of the way here and move on to the next set of stuff. So I guess next I'll go over my microphone case. I don't use anything too special to mic my kit. I use Nady microphones, N-A-D-Y phones. I've got 3 condenser microphones, 1 for my hi-hats, the other 2 for overheads. Then I've got 5 microphones that are used for my toms and snare. These are Nady DM70s with these Audix drum mic clips. These clips are the best I've seen, the ones I love to use. They're spring-loaded, clip right onto the rim, the top rim of your tom or snare. So easy to put on and take off. The best that I've seen, the ones that I like to use. They are a little pricey. They're about 25 to 30 bucks a piece, depending on where you're looking. So yeah, pretty pricey, but very sturdy. Use the same mics for my snare and for my toms. So then for my bass drum, I've got this Nady DM90, which works really well for the kick drum. And back to my condensers, I use CM95s again for my overheads and for my undermount hi-hat. There's definitely way more expensive, nicer microphones out than these, but these are what I've been using for a few years now, and they hold up nicely. They sound great, especially for live sound. Studio is probably different, but yeah, make sure you get a case and protect your microphones when you're transporting them. Keep them waterproof, airtight. Use foaming to keep them from knocking into each other. Next, I got this awesome blower fan. This thing pumps some air right out, and it's got 3 different speeds on it. You can adjust it up and down. It's good for drummers since we sweat a lot, especially outdoor gigs, especially when it's hot summertime like it is now. It also has 2 of these outlet ports on it. Long cord. You can also put through an extension cord into whatever power source you need to go. It also has a built-in fuse, so you don't have to worry about killing the whole fan or whatever if there's a surge or something like that. So I also travel with my mixer. In fact, I plug my mixer into that blower fan of mine. This is a Behringer Europower PMP 2000. So I use my own mixer to plug in my 9 mics and pre-mix myself and all my mics before sending them to the main mixer. So I like to have the ability to control myself what each channel needs, since I can adjust the high, mediums, and lows for each of my 9 microphones. This is a 14 channel mixer, but it's got 9 XLR, so that's what I use. Again, it's a powered mixer, so I use phantom power, which is required to power those condenser microphones I have, since I have 3 of them. So I have all my channels labeled here: hats, kick, snare, tom 1 through 4, overhead left, overhead right. It's good to label stuff. That way everything's pre-set up, pre-configured. You have the consistency of plugging into the same channels every time. This is the only thing I use this mixer for, so usually everything's pretty close to set up every gig I go. I use all my XLR cables, so I found this mixer, since I have 9 mics, it's got 9 XLR channels, so it worked out pretty perfectly for me. So I send a 1/4 inch preamp out mono cable from here, from my mixer to the main mixer board. That way at the mixer board, they just have our sound technician or whatever has just one channel for drums, to just be able to control, master, gain, high, low, mids, and volume. But I'm able to pre-mix everything and then send them one signal, which basically makes the sound tech's job a lot easier. And especially if I'm playing the whole kit quieter, you can just turn up the whole kit with one switch, with one channel, instead of turning up all 9. Or if I'm playing a heavier rock song, turning down all 9 channels. All he needs to do is turn down that one channel. So I don't always use this setup. If I don't use this, I'll use a snake. But anyway, moving on. Here's my hard case double bass pedal. It's a DW 9000 series. I don't play a lot of heavy metal or hardcore or anything. Not that I don't like those, but what I like to play now is alternative and rock. So I like having a double bass pedal for ending songs, or for messing around in between songs or solos or stuff like that, although I don't like to solo. But this is a 9000 series double pedal. Like I said, it's an older version, chain driven. I've used straps before, but nylon straps, but I like metal more, so like metallic metal, so I use chains. And this is the older series of the pedal, which I like more than the newer one. There's some good videos on YouTube of kind of comparing the two, or the differences between the new and this older series here. It's more so in the second pedal that is the reason I like this older one. So one thing I did to modify my pedals, I did this on my hi-hat stand too is on the bottom, they come standard with just some strips of Velcro, which basically just collect hair and crap. So I ripped those off, and I got this very coarse grip tape kind of material that they usually put on steps on decks outside or on boats or whatever. It's very gritty, very, very coarse. You see it here. This stuff is amazing. And just kind of cut it out. It was self-adhering to the backside, which is just really smooth metal, which slides all around. So when you put this down on a carpet, this pedal doesn't move at all. So again, I did this on my hi-hat pedal too. So both these pedals and the hi-hat pedal. So I've got these standard DW duo beaters with memory locks, so I know exactly how deep to put them in the little beater slots. Second pedal is here. So what I was talking about earlier about why I like the older 9000 series, it's because of this right here. This setup with this and that allows you to take a spring and bearing and bolt and twist nut setup, and either harvest it from this pedal or get an extra one and move it over to this to make this a single pedal. So that way you can just travel with a single pedal or just set up a single pedal, whatever you want to do. It's got the slot to put the beater. So basically, the old series, you could have a double or a single pedal setup with everything. The new pedals don't have that on the side, so their left pedal or whatever the slave pedal is not set up to be a single pedal, unfortunately. So here's the linkage. It's got some memory clamps in that too, so I know everything sets up quickly. So let's go ahead and put this back. This hard case is really nice too. Hard cases are definitely the way to go. Eventually I'll get hard cases for my shells, but I just went ahead and got soft to start. But I think the new 9000 series, they just make soft cases for the pedals. So again, another reason why I like my older hard case 9000 series. So let's come back over here to the drums themselves. So I'll open up one. They all look the same. Very heavy duty zipper design. Here's all the padding, sewn in padding. It's pretty thick, probably a quarter to a half inch thick. So heavy duty zipper design again. Everything fits in. When you get the sizes, you know, they have enough cushion room to account for the lugs and for hardware like this, which is the mount for the floor toms. This is one of my floor toms for one of the floor tom legs. So there's plenty of room without there being too much room. And, you know, everything zips together really easily. And, yeah, you got to have some kind of cases. So I already mentioned I got my rack over there. That pretty much travels like that as is. Just lay that down in my truck or up in the trailer or in the back of the van, whatever I'm using. So here's my SKB Cymbal Vault. It's the same company that makes my large drum hardware case. This is probably the most important thing that you can get, or the first thing if you're going to start traveling, is get a hard case to protect your cymbals. Absolutely critical. Cymbals should be the most expensive part of your kit. So you want to protect those. They're a little bit more fragile metal. They can break. So definitely get some kind of hard case cymbal vault. So this just has a big plastic wing nut on it, metal nut in there, and just a plastic spinner, metal washer, and a little cushion pad. So then we have, you know, all my cymbals in here. I got a 20-inch ride, 19-inch crash, 17-inch crash, 13.25-inch hi-hats, and then I've got these two splashes. One's an 11-inch and one's a 9-inch. So I guess I like odd numbers. But these are all Zildjian K Custom Hybrid cymbals. They all have these nice little pads in between each cymbal to protect them, although I didn't have enough. So there isn't one in between the two splashes. And the two hats are together. So they all go through this metal bolt that has a nice nylon sleeve around it so that there's not any kind of metal on metal through the hole of the cymbal. So everything's protected. And yeah, best way to transport your cymbals around. So move over to my backpack. Again, this is more for my personal gear and stuff. So tape. This is some black Gorilla tape. It's like some fancier duct tape. This is what I use on my carpet. If you look around, all these little strips are anything that touches the carpet, all my pedals and stands and legs or whatever, everything's marked so it can set up very quickly. So that's absolutely critical, in my opinion, for easy, quick, efficient setup. So get some tape that's gonna stick down and not come up like black Gorilla tape. I also have some white vinyl electrical tape I use for marking stuff with a Black Magic marker. You know, that's what I use to mark the bottoms of my floor toms, so I know which one goes where. So this one says 16 left, so this is my 16-inch floor tom left leg, and they've got a top, a left, and a right, so I know which each one of those goes, and they have memory clamps, so it's very easy to set those up. Got some gaff tape or gaffing tape, gaffer's tape, whatever you want to call it. This stuff's very good, popular in the music and theater business, since it's a very low amount of glue on the tape, so it peels up pretty easily. So good for taping down set lists and taping down wires and stuff like that, without leaving too much sticky residue. Got some athletic tape here. This is more for taping my fingers or yeah, mostly my fingers, just for when I'm hand drumming. I don't know if you saw my acoustic, my cajon over in the corner. Sometimes we play some unplugged gigs, so I'll tape up some bony parts of my hands or whatever. Got some scissors to help cut the tape, and ibuprofen. Yeah, so especially after those hand drumming gigs, it's good to kind of help with any kind of forearm pain relief or whatnot. Or if you drink too much, it's good for those headaches afterwards the next day. Another thing I like to travel, since watching Shark Tank, I got some of these First Defense nasal screens, which I'm a fan of. They work really well. So these I use for, especially in the wintertime, especially when I'm playing in a place that has a lot of smoking. So these filter out the smoke pretty well. And if you see right here, it says reduces the smoke or whatever. So I travel with some of those. Those are pretty good. They blend right into and stick to the bottom of your nostril, kind of like a little mini Band-Aid with a screen in it. So I just got those on Amazon. Got some wet wipes, good for all kinds of personal hygiene and cleaning stuff. What else I got? Got some gum. Got some hand sanitizer, flashlight, and then usually back in the main pocket, I've got a couple extra shirts and socks and shorts, you know, stuff that, you know, you can sweat through. And if you have time to change in between sets, or at least I like to change, you know, after I set everything up, since that's the sweatiest part, usually setting everything up. And then once everything's nice and set up, you know, I'll change into what I'm going to gig in. So I play in a 90s band, so I like to gig in some 90s era t-shirts. So like I got my gig shirts. So anyway, this is everything um, that I use and take with me when I'm gigging. And you know, it's amazing what I can fit into that large SKB Drum Hardware Case. Um, but you know, I'm not an expert on all this, but this is just kind of this is what I've learned over the years. I've been playing to bring with me and to efficiently set things up and and you know what I've learned, some tricks of the trade. So hopefully you guys learned stuff from from watching this, and you know, drumming is fun, and gigging can be is fun too. But some of the most, you know, painstaking part of it is getting there, getting your gear there safely, and getting it back safely, and setting everything up. And again, I can't emphasize enough how much this carpet that I have with all the quick markings on it is essential. You gotta have a carpet, you know. Go to a local place and get a remnant carpet and use it. You know, here in my cord bag, you know, I've got this TRS phono cable. So this is what I use to that goes from the main mixer that our sound tech's using, that goes into my Rolls personal amplifier for my in-ear monitor setup. So this is just like a 25 or 30-foot cable that I carry with me. So it's good to have some cables. Obviously, if you have a similar setup like I do, get some quality cables. Don't get the lowest end. You know, I like to buy medium high quality cables. But yeah, having in-ear monitors again is another thing that I really want to emphasize in this video. You know, using this setup is just really quiets the noisiness on stage. So use in-ear monitors if you can. So, and then here's the mono cable I use, 1/4 inch instrument cable type that I use as the going out of the preamp mono channel out of my mixer to the main mixer. And then what else I have in here? So I have my my microphone snake that I made, cut to all the lengths from all my 9 XLRs. So all that's taped together, and I use this whenever I use all the microphones or most of the microphones on my kit. You know, sometimes I'll play a venue where I'll only mic out the kick, snare, and hats in a smaller place. So I won't travel. I won't bring this whole, you know, 9 XLR snake. So when I'm not using my personal mixer, I've got this 30-foot snake that I'll plug that last self-made snake I just showed you with the 9 XLRs. I'll plug it into here, into this this snake, and then this snake will go. So these are all the input channels here, and then this side is all the male XLR ends. Will go to the main mixer board and plug into the main mixer board for the sound tech to manipulate. So typically I'll use that setup for when we have a No Kidding Pro venue and tech. I also got the power cable for my little mixer and a extension cord to whatever power source I need. So this is an overview of everything I do to gig as a drummer. Please leave your comments and feedback below. Subscribe and like this video.